Just so beautiful here in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida. Just about 12 hours away from the start of the 44th edition of the Players. TPC Sawgrass is in immaculate condition, firm, potentially fast, deepest field in the game, one of the most famous golf courses in the world, set for one of the greatest championships. Golf Central, live from the Players.
All eyes on you. They come by the tens of thousands, on hills, on grandstands, on foot, to watch you do your thing. From unholy swampland, a stadium rose so that we, the curious and the ordinary, could see the extraordinary perform and face their fears, perhaps their demise. That 30-yard walk from green to tee. That's a long time to ponder two foul shots with 5 seconds left, down one in Game 7. A long time to consider a 48-yard field goal, down 2 with 2 seconds left in a Super Bowl. Still, it's such a short shot. 115 shot. As easy and natural for a professional as taking a breath. But when the air gets thick here, and the stadium grows quiet, well, then it's not so easy. Only the stakes are chillingly simple. Wet or dry, shame or fame, win or lose. All eyes on you.
Golf Central proudly presents Live from the Players. Coverage presented by Orkin and TaylorMade.
Plenty of eyes on this man, Dustin Johnson, world #1. Excited to get ready here at TPC Sawgrass. His game has really improved. 6 wins in the last 12 months. He's teeing off at 1:52 Eastern Time tomorrow with Justin Thomas and, how about world #2, Rory McIlroy. That's a lot of firepower in one group. Rory's yet to win in 2017, but good finishes in South Africa, Mexico City, Orlando, and Augusta. 4 top 12s in the last 4 years at TPC Sawgrass. He's primed for a win. And check this out, while playing a practice round with Justin Thomas, Jimmy Walker, and Jason Dufner, Ricky Fowler. Been so good at 17, go ahead and do. Ricky Fowler. That's an ace at 17. Remember 2 years ago, he played that hole 6 times for the week and made 5 birdies, including 3, that incredible, thrilling finish on Sunday. A lot of fun out here on a Wednesday, and hello again and welcome. Rich Starter, pleased, as always, to be alongside Brandel Chambly, Frank Nobilo, PGA Tour winners, and the 1999 Players Champion. He likes that.
It was hard.
That is a nice ring to it. 1999 Players Champion. That is David Duval. David, you didn't make an ace final round, those tough conditions in 1999, but you had a heck of a shot.
In some ways, I actually did make an ace. Getting the golf ball onto the green was a near impossibility. That is basically the only spot you can land it and get it to stop. And in those circumstances, 1-shot lead, having to hit that, I'd call that at least a near ace. It was great.
It looked like you were trying to hit it as high as you could in the air.
Oh, yeah. I tried to throw it up as high as I could and get it to go just over the bunker and praying it would stop. The golf course was so incredibly difficult that week. It's
a different golf course this time around. All of the renovations, we have some new holes, lots of new hole locations, new grasses on these greens. Jeff Plotz, superintendent here, Frank, and his staff have done an incredible job. This place looks as good as anybody has ever seen it. What are the players in store for when they get out there tomorrow morning?
It will be a little different to what we saw in 1999 when there was only 2 players that broke par. You know, David, I think you were 3 under.
Yeah.
But I think there's sort of remnants there because when you go around the golf course, and I was driving around again this afternoon, most of the changes really are sort of skin deep, superficial. But a player is going to have to dig as deep as you did all the way back in 1999 because the greens are firm, they're new and they're fast. And these increased chipping areas means that it's sort of a cross between sublime iron player or genius around the greens, which I think makes it very, very compelling this year. You won't need to get really any more than 10 or 15 miles an hour of breeze, Brownell, to make this an extremely tough test. If you get to double digits, you know, that's good enough in my book. I don't even think it'll come close to that, but you know, sort of that 8 under par with good weather should be good enough to pick up a Players Championship.
Compelling, Frank. That's the right word. I mean, this place, just given the nature of the golf course, is compelling to watch. And I think you're right. The changes, they are sort of superficial, but I think they're aggressive-friendly sort of changes. They encourage a more aggressive approach to the par 5s. Obviously, they encourage some aggressive play at the 12th hole. When you put all those things together and the state of the games of some aggressive players like Dustin Johnson and Rory McIlroy and Sergio Garcia, Ricky Fowler, and even throw in sort of a new star into this cast in John Rahm. You said it before I did, John Rahm. You put all that together, and I think we're due for an epic sort of Players Championship. A Hal Sutton, Tiger Woods, Vijay Singh, Phil, Sergio, one of those back and forth amongst the best players in the world on one of the most compelling golf courses in the world.
Yeah, we're going to see if Dustin Johnson can get in the mix, and we're going to break his game down. He struggled here in recent years. We'll do that in just a moment. But Dustin, as you know, has been absolutely tearing it up lately. Won 3 in a row before the runner-up finish in Carolina this past Sunday. With more on Dustin, let's welcome Todd Lewis. Todd?
Hi there, Rich. I want to go back to North Carolina at the Wells Fargo Championship when Dustin Johnson shot a second round 75. It was his worst score of the PGA Tour season. He barely made the cut, but went 10 under on the weekend and still finished tied for second. That shows how the #1 player in the world can bounce back after a tough round. Dustin Johnson played 9 holes here at the stadium course yesterday, 9 holes today. He did a little bit of practicing as well. It's hard to believe that Dustin Johnson's best finish here at the Players is a tie for 28th. It came last year, but Dustin understands that he is a far different player now than in years past here at the Players.
All parts of my game are better, you know, than they were last year coming into this tournament. You know, I feel like my wedge game's definitely improved, but I feel like every part of my game's improved. But, you know, this is one of those golf courses where it's tough. It's tough, and, you know, every part of your game needs to be working if you want to contend around here. And, you know, I don't know, for some reason I haven't really played this course that well. But, you know, I feel like with the changes they made and the way that I'm playing right now, I mean, I really like this golf course. I think it sets up well for me. You know, I don't know why I haven't played well here, but I feel like I'm going to play well here this year. I hit 5 or 6 drivers. So, yeah, I get to hit driver a pretty good bit, but, you know, I hit a couple 3-woods, a couple 2-irons. You know, I got a 2-iron I really like, so I'll be hitting out a bunch. And but, yeah, I mean, I feel like the golf course is set up well for me. I like courses just like this where you have to hit, you know, you hit every club in your bag off the tee and into the greens, and I like the changes they made. You know, it's a couple subtle changes, but I think they were good ones. And you know, the golf course it's the best shape I've ever seen it. So I'm excited to play it this year.
You know, Dustin, right or wrong, some people see you as a player that's a power player. You bomb it, hit wedge, which you do a lot of places. But here, strategies involved. You have to be more cerebral. Do you enjoy playing these style of golf courses?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy playing all types of golf. It doesn't matter. It's you know, this is a type of golf that I like to play. I mean, I've proven I can win on any type of golf course. So for me, it doesn't matter. Everybody's playing the same golf course, and you know, it's who gets in the hole the least amount of times, who wins at the end of the tournament. So you know, you don't draw any pictures on scorecards, so you just got to get in the hole quickly.
Now, in regards to that back injury after suffering a fall at Augusta, not an issue. According to his swing coach, Claude Harmon III, he says he has full mobility. He's been in the gym every day this week. He's been striking the ball beautifully, and he's been working on his putting this week that he feels very good about as well. And one of the things that Claude Harmon said, that he feels relaxed, focused, and the big word here, confident. And that confidence is seen by other players. As a matter of fact, Claude Harmon and his father, Butch Harmon, told me, and both of them, by the way, work with Dustin Johnson, that other players know that if Dustin Johnson, Rich, is playing his best, he is nearly impossible to beat right now.
He looks like LeBron James right now. You know, he can dunk a basketball barefoot, this guy, Dustin Johnson. His grandpa, Bart Wisnett, in the University of South Carolina Basketball Hall of Fame. No course on the PGA Tour has been tougher. Now, these scores aren't terrible, but no course has been tougher than TPC Sawgrass for Dustin Johnson. 8 of his 26 rounds, that's all, just 8 under par. And his best finish is that tied 28th. That was a year ago. Brando, we heard Dustin with Todd saying he doesn't really know why he hasn't played better at this golf course. You've studied it. You have an idea. Why hasn't he been as good as he needs to be?
Well, just in general, he's been far too aggressive without the short game to support it. You can play aggressive golf around here. Phil Mickelson's managed to do that. Tiger Woods has managed to do that. Jason Day did it last year. But they have sublime short games to back it up and get themselves out of trouble. He has not been able to lean on that short game when he's gotten out of trouble. He said in his press conference today he was going to hit driver off of 1. Well, he's played 9. He's played number 1, 9 over par in 26 rounds. Wow. That strategy hasn't been particularly good for him. He is not, even still not a good bunker player. That comes into play on the 11th hole. Again, 26 rounds, he's even par on the 11th hole. Given his length, he should be a lot better than that. He's made 3 double bogeys in his career on the 12th hole. The 12th hole has been a problem for him. He hasn't really known how to play it. He's gone for it. He's laid back. But when he's gone for it, he's gotten in trouble. And I might not be the only person that doesn't like the 17th hole here. He's had 3 doubles and a triple bogey there. But it is so hard to draw conclusions about Dustin Johnson in the past to now because, as Todd said, as we've talked about it, he is such a vastly different player. Given all that, he does need to have a different strategy off the tee. You can't just take this golf course by the horns, so to speak. But almost in every other aspect, he has a short game now to get him out of tough spots.
What do you see with Dustin now, Frank?
Along the same lines, I think when you look where he's incredibly successful, you know, he's earned the right to be the best player in the world right now. Majority of the time, it's at big ballparks. You know, you go Whistling Straits. You know, we went extremely close. Royal St. George's. You know, Oakmont, obviously, where he won the U.S. Open. You know, fast greens. Check. He can putt on fast greens. Firm greens, check. He can putt on those. Big ballparks, he can drive it, check. So in the end, you know, the only weakness, if you're going to say that, and if you're going to sort of look for reasons why he has not finished better than a tie for 28th, you've got to say when he's reined in. We were sitting here, all 3 of us last year, with the same debate, different player, Jason Day. And the debate really was if Jason Day reels his game back in and plays from the same place that everybody else in the field does, he does not win. Jason Day led driving distance last year, first player ever to go over 300 yards, and he wins basically going away. In some respects, I disagree. I think if Dustin Johnson uses the strength in his bag and proceeds to go with shorter clubs because of these firm, fast greens, then he plays his golf and maybe nobody then catches him. You rein him in, David, I don't know. I think it's different. Then it's open.
Well, that's kind of the dilemma, I think, in professional golf that the big hitters have. They don't, you know, the bullies off the tee that can hit it 330 yards don't like being told you're not allowed to do that. In this golf course, you have to get your way around by being aggressive, but that means sometimes backing down, being aggressive with that 2-iron off the tee, the 3-wood, and getting it to the spot you need to. And you need to, I think, for Dustin, really take advantage of his length to put it in the spots or maybe a little bit further. He has the opportunity to do that with a shorter club and take advantage with the driver on the holes where you can really do it. It's kind of open and it can get out there 340, 350 yards. You know, you don't like being told how you're going to play golf, but around here you are dictated that, and you have to back off at times, and it's a necessity. But I think you combine that with he's a vastly different player than he was a year ago, 2 years ago. You can take different lines. You put wedges in your hand. He's wonderful with the wedges. And you have to be a little bit conservative into these greens at times. And we're also talking about basically a new golf course with some new greens, some new areas, some expanded places that you can put it. And so it's kind of a blank canvas, too, now. And so we're going to find out as the days progress who it suits.
This point in time, is Dustin Johnson just a little bit better than the competition, or is he considerably better than everyone else right now?
Well, I was giggling when they were talking about the confidence, because if he doesn't have confidence right now, what chance does anybody else have? He's considerably better.
And what does he have
listen,
right now?
Rory.
I know.
Rory at his best, which we haven't seen this year. But right now, what you're seeing in Dustin Johnson is a fellow who can find the fairways with unbelievable length and who's in complete control of his short irons, who's a marvelous putter. who's been able to do that for any period of time? Tiger Woods did it, but that's where he's at right now. I mean, that's where Rory was headed, but his putter kind of left him, and his short game kind of left him. Now he's kind of getting it back, but that's where Dustin Johnson is right now.
I look at it, you know, if I'm going to use tennis as an example, you know, Roger Federer clay, this is Dustin Johnson's clay, where Rafa Nadal was the king. And I think other people having a chance. Some of those strengths, I don't know, maybe you see it differently. I think he has to play the par fives well. I'm curious, in 1999, as difficult as the golf course was, I remember what it was like. How important were the par fives? Not necessarily what you scored on them, but relative to the field.
Important, obviously, and that's where you make hay in golf, period. You always do. You try to pick up your shots there. But I agree, this week, especially for Dustin Johnson, he really has to go out and annihilate those par fives and take care of them. You know, and he has that opportunity. We were out together looking at the second hole today. And he can get it moving around that corner with a 3-wood if he wants to and get it down there and take advantage of this. The ninth hole. He could hit a 3-wood down off of that tee as well, and still he has tremendous, and still get it up over towards that green. The 11th, he can really pretty much drive it straight away. He could conceivably have a mid-iron at most into that green. And 16, you got to be a little careful going through, but I think he most certainly has to take advantage of those and back off on the kind of tricky holes, if you want to call them, the difficult holes, the par 4s, the par 3s, and make sure you kind of monitor your way. It's kind of like what I talk about at the end of a golf year. If you play the par 3s about even par, and if you play the par 4s about even par, but you played the par 5s 100 and something under par, you're going to have a good year. And I think this week is going to bear that out, especially.
That's a recipe to be number 1 in the world. Right? Do that again.
I got that. Yes, I got that.
We'll have much more on Dustin Johnson throughout the show, including a look at how he's made a splash in the world of social media with Paulina and the Gretzky family. Well, the wait is almost over. Let the players play. Live coverage, players, tomorrow, 1 p.m. on Golf Channel, continuing Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern on NBC. Players seen on 60 channels in 23 countries around the world.
Coming up on Live from the Players, the Masters champion who is as close to being a master of this complicated golf course as anyone can be. Why Sergio likes it here.
It's one of my favorite golf courses in the world. Also, I'm very excited to be introduced in the first tee and see how it feels to be introduced as not only a past champion of the Players, but as the Masters champion.
Plus, the rules officials. They've been in the spotlight in recent months, but you'll see the important work they do behind the scenes.
Johnny, on this last group, walking tee shots at 1, we should have a couple holes of run around.
And trying to find the answer to the question, why has no one ever won 2 in a row here?
There's so many tricky spots on the golf course that can screw up a tournament for you quickly, especially the last 3 holes.
All that and more as we continue live from the Players.